So, welcome to Dune, House Gildrun. This is episode 5 already. Time flies when you're having spice, etc. So, yeah. So, why don't we get into it with our players? Say hi. So, Danielle will not be joining us this week, but we forge on. We continue on. Forge, not forage. Those are two different things. So, let's say hi to Steve. Steve, how you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm hanging in there. As I was saying before we start this stream, I feel like I kind of wasted my weekend, but again, hanging with you guys on Sunday night, cushions below Monday morning. So there's that. You are my drug. So keep that in mind. Next we have Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Got our physical book in finally for this game, so that's pretty cool.
Ooh, nice. You want to show it off? Do you have it with you?
I have the GM screen, which is a map of Arrakis, which is kind of cool, and I've got the book here.
Oh gosh, look at all those notes already. Good job.
I did that like 5 minutes before the call, so
It's good to be prepared. Good job.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, cool. Congratulations again. I'm getting mine from my friendly local gaming store, which is the slowest of all methods, unfortunately. So that'll be near the end of the month, apparently. So,
yeah, but good on you for supporting your local game store.
I do try whenever I can. There
Same.
are fewer than there used to be. So, yeah. Don't get me started on the whole gaming store thing. I literally walked into a gaming store yesterday, and it was all filled with competitive collectible card game players having a tournament. I'm like, really? And I get 2 shelves for my thing over here, you bastards. So I don't. I get my other stuff, my actual role play game stuff, at a different store, but this one's closer. And yeah, anyway, I shake my fist at the collectible card players who destroyed it all.
Man yells at cloud.
Yes, man yells at cloud. No effect. Rolls a 20. No effect. And last but definitely not least, we have Susan Tinker Gnome. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's Sunday. The inevitable Monday shall be here soon. And just keep going.
You got this. You got this. All right. So I am ScottsCaseFiles, as you may have figured out by now by the little label below and the channel you're on. And we're going to have some fun with Dune tonight. Before we do that, I'm going to do the intro movie because I always forget. Here we go.
A secret report from within the Spacing Guild. A prescient nexus has been discovered surrounding a house minor. There are so many possibilities that we have no vision. A 4th-stage navigator was sent to Orbot to investigate. It is a house of entertainers, actors, dancers, and yet they also trade in secrets and favors. All prescient roads lead to one place for this house minor. Arrakis, home of the spice melange. The observation of House Gildrun continues.
I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'll check and
back.
let you guys know.
Cool. Awesome. So when last we saw our fair adventurers, they had just gotten orders from House Gildrun higher ups, specifically their advisor, who basically brought all the troops together, or at least most of them, and gave each of them marching orders to kind of get back at House Harkonnen for screwing with them and trying to make it appear that they're the house that which they actually are butting heads with was behind it, to either cover their actions or whatever. We, as the advisor said, we don't know. So, your orders, as you find, and this is one of those scenes where it's like, and we cut from the meeting, and suddenly you are all in a shuttle, a guild shuttle, making planet fall, and your orders. And this is like, if it was a TV show, we'd see like a juxtaposition of like a shot of in the shuttle and everybody's getting gear and stuff, and then to like, one of you reading the orders and that kind of thing, and back and forth and voicing over the preparation scene. So it appears that, and I'm sorry, I have to bring up my notes real quick. Let's see here. Sorry. Whose character by show of hands has never been to Gidi Prime? Never been to Gidi Prime. Maybe casting is maybe. Well, yeah, you can put your hand down, because that's where you're making planetfall to, on this guild shuttle. So basically, what's going on is there was another team. There was another team who basically, shall we say, dealt with an individual who is going to this meeting on Gidi Prime, and you're going to take their place. This isn't a normal meeting, though. This isn't like, we go to a nice, pleasure spot, or, a castle or anything. You're actually dropping into a hunting expedition. Let's see. So you find when you actually big planetfall, the doors to the shuttle open. You're in like something very much between like a deciduous forest and a jungle. And again, it's just this weird place on Gidi Prime, one of the few like natural areas left. Everything else is has been very mined out and used for natural resources long since years ago. But the planet still needs at least some flora to produce oxygen to make that whole planet not dying thing happen. So even the Harkonnens know that. So yeah, you are in the middle of this forest, and already there's a group of like two. I don't want to call them soldiers, because they're not soldiers. Let's call them like hunting scouts, and they're approaching. Basically, what's going on is one of the Baron's former personal slave masters has been retired for some time. He enjoys a good hunt, and that's his least protected time. So you're gonna take that away from the Baron, that trusted, favored individual. And in order to do so, you're gonna have to do a little impersonation, Reza. We get to finally make some really good use of your disguise skill. You're taking the place of Miza Kotrov, who is a decently known Harkonnen tracker. And it's strange to see a woman in that place, especially with Harkonnen. But I really can't say it. The whole let's face it, the whole Imperium is rather patriarchal, though they don't realize they're being controlled from behind by the matriarchs, all that good stuff. But yeah, so this is this Miza Kotrov is one of those few who've kind of proven themselves in these situations. So she's known as a tracker. And apparently she's been called in, or she was going to be called in, because of this really fun hunt that was going on, like a gift to her. She's also a Harkonnen. Or was. and was invited to join in. So the other two of you are basically whatever you want them to be, fellow hunters, bodyguards, whatever you like, and that allows for quite a bit of hardware to be displayed. Everybody has a body shield on, because this is a hunt. Dangerous things are out there, right? So,
That's why I
the
brought my
actual
hunting sword.
what's that?
That's why I brought my hunting sword.
Yes, the hunting sword, the beheading sword, right? So, Kuvar Ness is the Harkonnen slave master who's your target, and your orders are to make sure he doesn't make it out of this hunt. Whatever happens to his entourage is irrelevant. Whatever it takes, basically. This is a guild shuttle, unregistered, and it'll wait there for you until such a time as you come back and order the pilot to take off, which could be days, potentially. So yeah, Misa is the one thing that she is known for is having a scar running down the left side of her face, basically from her brow all the way to the edge of her jaw. That's kind of like her identifying mark. Otherwise, she prefers not to be photographed, which made this a really tempting target, a really interesting in for House Gildrun. So yeah, so basically you're about to be escorted to the hunting camp.
What was the name of the person we're to take out again?
Kuvar Ness. Cool. And Reza is now Misa. Wow, I didn't actually plan that out, but that kind of works out, So there we are. So yeah, you're being approached by two men who are definitely dressed as like hunting scouts. Like they you can definitely see a body shield active at all times on both of them. At the highest setting, there's that little bit of distortion as they approach, or even as at the distance. And they're basically coming at you through high grass, beating with the grass away with a stick as they come to the landing pad. As you guys get out, you notice basically the landing pad that's what you actually landed at, an actual shuttle landing pad, but it's probably hasn't been used in a few months, so the nature basically takes it back over. Oop, Riz is having some audio issues, I think. But yes.
There we go. Now it's working.
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Cool. All right. So yeah, what do? You basically are out of the shuttle. What do you look like? What gear do you have? All that kind of good stuff.
I'm probably wearing something like a very form-fitting uniform. Think of like Baroness from G.I. Joe
Cobra?
on the Cobra side of things. Yeah.
Cobra is the cooler
probably.
side. I just want to say that out loud.
Yeah. So very form-fitting, like kind of a leather, Solution leather outfit sort of thing, including the scar, maybe probably still keep kind of like a buzzed haircut going on, very kind of military, but you can tell she's got a bit of a quick wit about her as being this type of trying to play this character.
Gotcha. I can only imagine her like, ooh, I get to break out the special effects makeup. The physical effects are here. Gotta get out the putty, and I gotta match my skin tone. I gotta give it a little jaggedness. Oh, this scar looks like it's been there forever.
It's just like there's a discussion about how this stuff is way more immersive and cool than the Ixian stuff.
All right, awesome. So Jindo and Castian, how are you? What have you dressed for the occasion? What equipment have you brought? I'm assuming your normal weapons and shield belt. Beyond that, what do things look like?
So I'd be wearing, grays and browns, sort of, for under the canopy type travel. Still have the sword, obviously. But I think he has, like a small pack that, probably has undetermined survival gear until I need it as an asset.
Exactly.
And I think I'll be a fellow hunter to Meza. Misa.
Nisa.
That is just along the ride. And, my hair, which is usually sort of, kind of long flowing, golden hair, is all slicked back, with a little bit of a darkening agent.
Cool. Awesome. How about Jindo? What's Jindo look like?
I'm kind of thinking of adopting a similar persona as last time, like a rich asshole who paid to be here, kind of thing. Because I mean, it's a bit, is this like a big game hunt, or
Is there another kind of hunt?
That's fair.
It's that big game on two legs. Just asking.
Big game is on two legs.
Are we hunting the most dangerous prey of all?
Not the best
Children.
prepared and armed, but yes. Otherwise,
yeah, I think Jindo will be in kind of like I'm imagining like I think it's Michael Douglas in Ghost in the Darkness, that movie where they're hunting the lions in Africa. Like the wide brimmed hat and kind of just rough and tumble look. Equipped, but definitely like not a survivalist, not a not a person who's like doesn't look like they're living this life. They're kind of a tourist.
like they have all the cool gear, but it's all like spotty, spotless, brand new. Like the gloss is still on it and everything. Yeah, totally. Awesome. Yeah, these guys look like they've been in the bush for a while. Their clothes are all very like light, but long sleeves, long pants. You can see like it's camouflage patterns and browns and blacks and little greens, and it's dirty. Like they've been out here for a while and they really haven't had the opportunity to clean those uniforms or anything. But yeah, they kind of approach you again, full shields up. Like, we greet you, Misa Kotrav. Now it's time to get into character, isn't it, Tevek? You're a badass tracker. A Harkonnen one at that. And you track humans, by the way. So yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And I kind of just greet them back and ask them if they've seen any sign of the prey that we're here to hunt.
Ah, to the point when the other who hasn't spoken yet says, he's like, your reputation precedes you. You can't. I can almost see you salivating from here at the kill, but I promised my Lord Ness that we would allow him the opportunity to fill you in. Please. Be aware, body shields must be on at all times. Have weapons at the ready. The prey is loose and can attack at any moment.
I think I turned mine up a little bit from where it was.
I like look down and fiddle with mine. Like I don't need to, but I'm just trying to sell the part. Oh, so, I wasn't aware there was a lord joining us today.
And the second one, he kind of gives you that disgruntled look, like Lord Ness has the favor of the Baron. That is enough. And with that, they kind of lead you in, one in front, one in behind, looking to, mitigate any, sneak attack that might happen, that kind of thing. And again, they're kind of beating away tall grass as they go. About maybe 100 meters away, you find yourself at an encampment. The grass here has been beaten down days ago. You can see it's kind of like, brown and dying. There's like a big circle about, maybe I would say like 20 meters in diameter. The outer side of which has a bunch of tents, like hard tents set up. Basically, same idea of tents, hard walls that are fastened up and that kind of thing. There's like 6 of those. In the center, there's like you're kind of like outback traditional fire. You gotta have a fire. And yeah, so they have a fire going. Food is boiling over it as we speak. As you kind of pass in, the entrance to the camp has there's a couple of stakes with human skulls implanted on them. The first trophies of the hunt. Some have been, pecked at by local predators and that kind of thing. But it's just kind of this macabre welcome to camp sign, basically. One of taking just the briefest of looks, you can tell, these at least these two weren't very well fed. The game could not have been very interesting. So wondering why Misa Kotrov has been invited.
How are the hunters armed?
They are armed with both a variety of things. Some will have the short blade and a stunner, and then others will have kinjals and stunners, but all of them have stunners. So, which is again, not uncommon, but. You get the feeling that it's like, oh, well, stunners, you have to be really precise and really good, and it has to be under certain circumstances that they're useful. Unless, of course, the person isn't wearing a full shield or a shield at all. And then it's all fair game. But yeah. So yeah, they're all totally shielded. The first guard who greeted you, or first hunter or whatever, he goes up to one of the tents and claps as he stands at the doorway. The doorway has like a silk screen in front of it, like a high end mosquito netting type of thing. And Lord Ness, Misa Kotrov and her entourage have arrived. Good. And you see this guy come out, and he you can tell at one time he was like built. Like this guy was in his prime. He was one of those guys where you look at and it's like, wow, that's a thick foot of muscle there. And now that's kind of atrophied a bit. He's still a rather large guy. He stands like 6'4" and he still has some of the muscle, but now he's gray, thinning hair. Some of that muscle isn't really muscle anymore, that kind of thing. But you can still see that brutality there. It's like just that is who he is. And he's wearing like a something very similar to what Reza chose. Kind of, form-fitting, but it also has various, leather straps on the arms and that kind of thing. A couple extra belts, pockets and things like that. High boots that go kind of up to the knee, and have like, looks like weapons on the sides of each. And all his stuff looks very well weathered. Like you can see, the spot on his boot there at the top there is where the knife would have dragged, the crossguard would have dragged on as he pulled it out, and it's worn in comparison to the rest of the boot, that kind of thing. So it's any of you for various reasons can easily pick up on that kind of thing. That, this is not his first hunt or rodeo, as it were. But yeah. So he has this big smile on his face, big white-toothed grin, and I told the Baron one day that my greatest joy would be to have the Misa Kotrov as part of my hunting party, and this time he has gifted me. Long live the Baron! And he actually brings up a small carafe that you didn't even notice at his side of some liquid, and salutes with it, and then kicks it back a bit. By the time he gets to the three of you, you can kind of smell that he's been drinking for a while. Probably celebrating the last 2 successful kills. And he kind of just drops the vial to his side without caring about whether it shatters or not. As it happens to, it doesn't break as it hits the ground. And he goes to Reza, and Reza, he grasps you by the shoulders and kind of just holds you there to look at you. And let's actually make the first roll of the day and see how your artistry is holding out. Let's see how we do. So I'm gonna make a roll to basically. I'm gonna actually bring your character sheet up while I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I'm gonna make a roll to kind of set the stakes, and then you can kind of go from there. So let's see
Sounds
here.
good.
So he's going to again. I'm not going to spend any extra dice. I start with my 4th threat. You have 0 momentum, and I'm going to say that the difficulty on for this on his is going to be probably like a 14. It's called a 14. To be quite honest, I have not stabbed this guy up. I didn't think of it till the very last moment. So we're going to call it like a 14 with no focus. So let's do the thing.
And Reza, if you fail, we just we slaughter him right here, right now. We run to the shuttle, and we're done by 9:30.
Back for dinner.
I have to dream up something extra real quick. Oh yeah. All right. Your difficulty is 1.
Okie dokie. I figure I will try to use my communicate, probably like my charm or my disguise, which kind of fall under that.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then
absolutely.
my power to using power for I do as I please to try to really accentuate the character.
Oh yeah, that totally fits. Good job. Works for me. Make a roll. Cool. Success is actually 2 successes. You rolled a 2 there. And then plus you had an asset, which actually made this easier. So I forgot about that. Your asset being your disguise kit. So actually it was a 0 success requirement. You made 2, so you now have 2 momentum, unless you wanted to spend it on anything.
I think I'm good at the moment.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, so he kind of looks you over, and you can see him grit his teeth, and he's like, "Oh, this is going to be such fun. You'll be glad you came. How was your journey? And introduce us to your entourage. I was told you'd come alone."
I had a last minute addition.
Yeah. Oh,
So
please continue.
this in along a last minute addition. Reza kind of stops and looks at his hands on her shoulders and kind of comes back and gives him kind of a pointed look of, "Don't touch me. Get your hands off me. You smell like alcohol."
Mm.
And just kind of this disgusted look on her face, because he's probably been drinking enough. It's kind of coming out in his sweat some.
Yep.
And tries to get him to let her go with her look.
Yeah, he definitely releases her. And
if you go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, if Reza gives me a look and a nod, I'll introduce myself. I assume we've covered our identities, but Jace Vassar, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Ness.
He's like, he kind of leans forward to you. He's like, yes, it is. And you, old man.
Luckily, I have good composure, so I don't try and kill him.
Pardon me. Exactly. He's like, how about you, old man? Do you have a name?
I kind of shove my hand out in front, just to give him a very hearty handshake. And Revan Kiltan, pleasure to meet you as well, my lord.
He kind of looks you over. You might be a little green for this hunt, old man. Feel free to stay back at camp. I'm sure we can find you some puzzles to do or candy to eat.
I have the finest equipment here that money can buy. I'm sure I'll be just fine.
Well, we have some good prey today. We caught the first two the day before we even came. It was quite easy, actually. It looked like they were actually trying to mount an attack. It didn't go well. Did it, boys? By the way, there's another, in addition to the two that greeted you, there's another 4 of the exact same description of guys there. And and he kind of gestures around to it. There's actually some, this is like glamping for all intents and purposes. So you see like suspensor chairs, far be it from the Harkonnens to have to, sit on the earth or like wooden chairs or something. So yeah, there's suspensor chairs at regularly placed intervals around the main campfire. Feel free to sit. I can offer you food and repast before tonight. I was thinking of going just before twilight. See if we can find a couple more. There's 3 more out there, I didn't take away all the fun, but I couldn't pass these 2 up. They were trying to attack after all. I can't have that. When the prey try to attack you at your own camp, this is the severest of insults that prey can give you. I don't bear being insulted very well.
Nor should any man of your standing.
Will there be sport? Are they armed?
He's like, oh, yes. And he actually, turns on his body shield, it wasn't on before. Which is actually, by the way, the only reason he was able to grab Reza. There wasn't a repelling shield going on. So he turns his on, and, somewhat drunkenly, totally forgetting about that. And he's like, we've given them the basics, Mala pistols and bone knives. But they're crafty.
Were the Mala pistols even working?
Oh, they work just fine. It's just, the as you well know, the rounds are going too fast to penetrate a body shield. It's more of a sense of safety for them, of power, of feigned power, of course. But good for the prey to feel a little brave in those moments when we want them to make a good showing. It'd be a horrible hunt if they just lied down on their backs and took the blades of their bellies right away, don't you think?
You're not wrong.
That's what I like to hear. Of course, this guy was totally used to being not only slaves, being surrounded by slaves, but like yes men, as one of the higher ups, not related to the Baron, but having proximity to the Baron and that kind of thing. And he let's see, let's check something. Yeah. So yes, he is yeah, he looks like he's just kind of ready to relax for a bit. So he has you guys all sit down and do the thing. Hey, have a seat. And he kind of points to the it's like a cauldron and like a hot, like a flat plate that's frying some kind of meat on the top there. And just as you sit and you're basically you're given like little kind of like paper or some kind of harder paper that's been rolled over into a cone where you can just like scoop up what you want from the thing, and it slides in there, that kind of thing. And as you sit down, he's looking to, you can tell he's like, I'd love to hear some stories of your hunts, Misa. I've heard the legend, I which is why this gift means so much to me, your presence.
And so I'm figuring at this point in time, since Reza's a bit of a mentat, she's probably memorized some of the stories of her current character. Do I need to roll for this, or what do you want to do on this one? To see if I can regale him with a story.
Sure. So my question is, did you ever switch away from the one mentat ability, or did you keep that one?
I couldn't find the other mentat ability you were talking about.
Oh, there's like a couple of them where it's basically about regurgitating data and stuff like that, or taking in great amounts of data. So let's, for purposes of doing the thing, we'll say it's quite easy to have memorized a story from her. But yeah, we can definitely roll for it if you want to get more in depth and get more like historically accurate type of stuff.
Was like the one I'm using Mind Palace, where I have exceptional recall and can reconstruct events and places I've experienced with perfect accuracy, so I can revisit them later. I know that's not quite the same thing we're looking at here. I just couldn't find the whatever one you were talking about. And this one's called Mind Palace.
The other one is actually called Mentat Discipline. It's right above.
Okay, is that all it was? Okay.
Yep, it's right above it in the book.
Yeah, you have almost perfect recall for even the most complex data. Making an understanding test that applies to recalling data, one of the d20s in your pool may be considered to have rolled a 1 instead of rolling it. So if you want to say we switch you, that was the one you have been using. Since I think you've used it all of once since we started the campaign, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I hadn't really needed it. Okay, yeah, you made it sound like it was called something else. So that's why I kept having a hard time trying to figure out what you were talking about.
Oh, where Scott said it's the other Mentat Discipline, and it's actually called Mentat Discipline.
No, he said it was called like Mind Castle or something like that. I'm using one called Mind Palace. Is that what he means?
No, it's just another Mentat talent. There you go. So,
the talent you want is in the other fortress.
The other fortress, yes. Exactly. All right, so we're gonna say you had that because that makes far more sense to this character than the other stuff. I mean, your focus has always been on like, I want to memorize all of the songs, all of the everything, etc., etc. So having Mind Palace is like cool if like you want to literally, you saw something and you want to reconstruct that instance in your mind. That freeze a moment in time for as long as you want to look it over, that kind of thing, which is not what your character is all about. So that makes all the sense in the world. So yes, okay. So why don't you do an understand test, and let's recall and see how well that you come up with a story from their past. Let's call it a difficulty 1. It's not. You do have dossier, so it's not terribly difficult at all. So you've actually already technically would have succeeded. But go ahead and roll and get into some momentum, perhaps. Or maybe there's a baddie, a complication.
Okay.
So it'll be your understand and Parley. I don't know. What are you looking at?
I'm going to use truth because I decide what is true as well. So whatever I'm coming up with on this for him, hopefully I can make him believe it.
Okay, and you're a mentat, so yeah, your mentat trait makes this easier. You're already down to a 0, or else I would have gone lower with the fact that you, then you have your eidetic memory focus. But obviously, we'll be using our eidetic memory focus here. But mentat makes it easier. So it's actually a difficulty 0 roll. And you've already made 2 successes. So basically, roll 1 die.
I hit 2. Sorry.
That's all right. And either way, they both are critical, so we'll call it a total of 4 successes. So that maxes out your momentum. So good job. So tell us the story. You make it up. It's all yours.
Probably.
Oh gosh,
Probably
it's
getting
not an improver, huh? It's all right. Get the cat for
cat for bonus. Probably start to regale him on a story of where there was a pack of feral Lhasa tigers, of about 20 of them that grew in these woods, and myself and a group of about 10 soldiers with me tried to go in and take them down, and the tigers were just too smart and were taking down my men one by one. And it finally came down to myself and the queen of the tigers that was left alive, that we were able to take out most of them. And I had already been out in the woods for 10 days, and I was hungry and thirsty and tired, and just myself, a tiger, and my Kenjal, because my shield belt had died somewhere along the way and I could no longer use it. And explaining how I ended up fainting and let it go flying over me, and I managed to catch it by the tail and grab it and bring my Kenjal up underneath the belly, that as I was going by, one of the claws caught me across my cheek, and I was laid open across my face, but I used what was left of the tiger to slap a patch on it and make my way back to the Gady Prime City, and came back victorious.
Nice. Wow. Good job. Good job. It really came out of nowhere. I totally thought I was going to stump you on that one. But you came through, flying colors, and you even gave her the story of the scar, the one probably literally everybody wants to hear. So awesome. Yeah, I'm going to give you an extra advancement point for that. So write that down. Good job. Oh yeah, you can tell like that Kuvar is like just enraptured by your story as it goes, and you can help but notice that several of the scout guards, they like are stopping what they were doing to kind of listen. It was such a good tale, especially the way you told it, and they kind of notice that they stop doing stuff after the story's over, and Kuvar's looking around at him. I was gathering wood. That's right. Continuing on the thing. And it's like, it's getting towards twilight. We should prepare ourselves. But first, a toast to the Baron. And he gestures to one of the scouts guys who like brings over stuff. And what was that, Kessin? Oop, you're muted.
Just getting my cup ready.
Okay. Oh, God, I thought you were just like, hey, but Kessin needs to speak. Booze. Yeah, so one of the servants, actually it's a scout guy brings by some glasses, and it's still like you're in the middle of all this jungle and outback and far away from civilization, and yet the glass he gives you, probably could buy several slaves in the Gidi Prime slave market. This perfect crystal, etc., and puts one in each of your hands and fills it with some clear liquid. And to Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, my patron and my friend. Drinks back.
I consider that too.
Any problem.
So he's us totally like, and the protector in Castian's notice like, wow, no poison snoopers in sight. That's That's trusting.
And I thought it would be rude to bring out my own, but we were all poured from the same bottle. Of course, the glass is probably, could be poison,
No, this
There's
is yours.
always a way.
There's always a way.
But
Yeah.
it is well noted that there's no poison snoopers in sight.
It's like, Guar's like, that, those 2 tents over there are yours? For yours and your entourage? And, like, you see one of the scouts kind of give him a look for just a second as you realize that, like, that was, like, his and his partner's tent. There was no entourage expected. So before you can even move, they're already there cleaning their stuff out. And by the time you get to it, there's the basics of, like, there's, like, a dresser, 2 actual beds, a full, like, nightstand type thing with a basin, dispenser lamp hovering overhead, giving off like a dull yellow light, bathing the whole room in it. Pardon me. Let's drink some carbonated stuff. Oh my, excuse me. But the everything's like this. Again, this is glamping to the nth degree. Everything's like silver and precious gems are embedded into the areas around the mirror in your room. The basin is like made of hardened fogwood and stuff like that. Again, this is not camping by any means. But yeah, everything is nice, and it looks like the room for Misa, yours is even more outlandish. There's like the same like mosquito, sheer silk mosquito netting type stuff that was in front of Kuvar's tent is in front of yours and also over your bed, and it looks like it's just like the lamp above it is meant to kind of bathe the silk in its light and kind of create this colored pattern on the bed itself once it gets there. And again, it's the lap of luxury. Nothing is held back here.
I was going to say the expedition you guys are accustomed to. Or
So,
probably similar to an expedition I've probably been on with my family before I left them being my family.
Fair enough.
Lords don't travel light.
Don't at all. So yeah, so you're given some time. I'll say like about a half an hour or so to do what you need to do. What do you do? For your half hour of privacy.
Just for my own I don't know, sanity check, I guess. Is my one of the things I talked about with my blades was that they were like really distinctive, like using the sock and buskin, the like Gildrun sort of emblem. But I probably have like, I don't know, I would think some sort of like cover or like wrap or something that like sort of looks decorative. Like maybe that's what I'm doing with those now, is trying to hide the not give off a big siren of, hey, I'm from Gildrun.
Right. Yeah. It's quite reasonable. Yeah. Any type of like leather wrappings that go above what's already there could easily wrap over the end and be tied there. There's any number of ways that can be done and still retain the blades as is. It's not a problem at all.
Like I said, I don't know that it was like a word or anything for the asset, but it was definitely something I was thinking about after the introductions happened. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that I would not have. This is not that kind of campaign, and I'm not that kind of GM that would oh, why are you wearing the Gildrun symbol on your chest from like the last time you were playing? No. You guys are professionals.
I left my ID badge on.
I took it off a Gildrun man that I killed in combat. I like to wear it here.
I would like to prepare a canteen of poisoned water.
Yeah. Excellent. I take it you're going to spend some of your momentum on that.
Spend 2 for an asset.
Yep.
And those assets exist until they're narratively not existing?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this that's kind of one of the things I've kind of had to change my thinking on. Like in all other games where I've done assets, it's like, well, yeah, they're good for the round. In fact, that's how it is for Star Trek Adventures, I think, and that kind of thing. Here, assets are so ingrained in everything that I think, yeah, it lasts until it no longer makes sense, or like the adventure you're on is over, and then it's time, if you want to keep it, to actually make it a permanent asset or let it go, that kind of thing.
And I definitely make sure that Jindo's aware that I've poisoned this canteen. Like, don't take the water from me and drink it yourself,
Yep, definitely make a mental note of that, and we probably want the Mentat to remember that too.
Yeah,
So
we pointed
thirsty.
out, but I assume she was in another tent, so... Yeah, so thirsty.
Yeah, for this time, it's totally acceptable for you to have met with her.
Telegraph this.
Yeah, or yeah, to just to to do like, either A, it's expected that you strategize on the hunt as her entourage, or you're there because you're her boy toys or something like
Right.
that.
Companion and bodyguard.
Yeah, companion / bodyguard.
Backup singers.
Backup singers, yeah. Oh my, that's what we need. I hadn't even. Oh God, no, I've never even thought of that.
On a mission. I'm sure you're going to do that on a mission.
Oh,
and just be aware that that's one of the talents that was not lost on House Gildrun is Castian singing.
Yes, asset backup singers. Yeah, cool. And also, Jindo, I just want to, it just came to mind, I just want to point out, you do have your asset of those, the extra soldiers, I believe. I'm going to look at it real quick.
Yeah, we introduced one of them, like kind of a sergeant or something kind of thing.
Yeah, I just want to take a quick look. Yeah, specialist troops. So I'm going to say that, again, it wasn't narratively appropriate that they be here, but I will allow them to be, like, hidden away in the shuttle. So, like, should you call on them, and should you be close enough? And again, my little house rule of communicator size, if the farther you're away, the bigger the communicator has to be to get to them. The small one you could keep on you would be, like, able to do pretty close circumstances within 30 meters. That isn't to say that your pack or Castian's pack doesn't have something else in it that could be created as an asset at a later time, but just keep that in mind. It's not narratively appropriate for them to be here. However, I also don't want to rob you of your asset, and it could be appropriate for them to be hidden away in the shuttle and just lying in wait till the order comes.
Okay, that's really cool. Thanks. I mean that definitely opens up some other possibilities. It's another asset we can move, and we can use to leverage, against them or something.
Potentially. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, do you strategize anything else? Your time's running out.
Do we think we should maybe try to move that squad into like some sort of position outside the shuttle, or what do you guys think? Like, leave them there for now and just kind of make the call when we need it if something hits the fan?
I'm personally thinking leaving them there for now, and we call upon them when we need them, because we don't want to overplay our hand too much yet.
And we don't exactly know where we're hunting.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Okay. You're interrupted by one of the scouts. I take that.
What was that?
No. Is there anything else you want to strategize before the scout comes in to bring you up out for the nightly hunt?
Not for me.
Make sure everybody's shields are charged up.
Yep, good times. You're about to be had by all.
I probably want to apply some poison to my Kinjal to, have it ready to go, fresh and ready to go.
Cool. Now, do you have any assets that I should know about? Let's take a look at your assets quick.
Nothing super big right now.
Yeah. So now, but again, we can create assets temporarily. Well, not till they're no longer necessary. You would probably want to spend 2 to get a body shield at this point, and then we could definitely spend the last 2 to you can do the poison Kinjal thing.
That's fine with me if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah. Go for it.
All right. You're down to 0 momentum again. But this is kind of what you need to sell the bit anyway, so that works out. Cool. All right. So the one of the scouts pops in, and unlike at his lord's door, he kind of just opens the shade. The Lord requests your presence. We're heading out for the hunt.
Of course. And I grab my pack and which has sort of like the blade slung with it, and throw it on.
Nice. All right. Yeah, 3 come out. Kuvar is he looks strangely sobered up. Maybe it's like the adrenaline that's doing it, or something. This incredible thrill that he gets of the hunt thing. He also has like this, like the camouflage makeup on his face now and throughout his hair, and he's ready to do the thing. He has his own stuff. He has like a short knife, short blade in each of his boots on the outside. He has a Kinjal, and he has his body shield, and he also does have a stunner. So, and all these items look very lavish. Again, has he crossed blades with anyone before? Who can say? But they're very. He even draws one to kind of test out the tip of it a little bit, and you can see that it's just so shiny. Not a scratch on it. But yeah, he kind of shows it to all of you and salutes with it and puts it back in its sheath, and suddenly you're set off. One of the scouts is in front, one behind, like before when they were kind of bringing the camp, and then the rest are back to tend the camp or haven't been allowed the pleasure of the hunt for this one. So you have the 2 scouts with you, 4 back at camp. And you start going in. The guy in front is all his stunner is in one hand, his knife is in the other, and the same with the guy behind you, knife and stunner in hand at the same time. And you've now gone into like not skulking mode, but now you're expected to be silent, talking to a very bare minimum. Everyone is slightly crouched as they're walking, as they kind of breach through some undergrowth. The guy ahead of you kind of pushes stuff to the side so the others can more silently go ahead and that kind of thing. And suddenly you guys are finding your way into the outback of this area you're in. There's like, again, imagine this is like a pretty thick type of jungle, mixed with like the trees you would find in like a normal deciduous type forest, and there's like green everywhere. There's grass, and there's vines and branches and trees and plants and flowers, and all manner of different things as you're walking. You kind of like you find that Kuvar is kind of leading you off a path, but he gestures for Misa to come up to the front with him. He's like number 2 in line. He kind of like you see him kind of like kneel down on one knee, Reza, and he kind of picks up this branch that was kind of pushed aside before you guys got there. He's like, someone's definitely been here. Look at even a little hair off the top here. Kind of pulls a few strands out.
Come running up and pull it from him, kind of look it over and just kind of sniff it, lick it, give it back to him.
He's like,
he hasn't been gone for very long.
I knew your ways were unorthodox, Misa, but you impress me. You're a very interesting woman. Yeah. He tosses it down, and he actually he draws his stunner and points forward with it. Proceed. Next thing you know, the pack is moving again, and you start to hear, like, you know, after about 30 or 40 minutes of hiking, there's obviously something like running off to the sides of you, to the front, you know, you know, something going on. Is it an animal? Is it prey? We don't know yet. The guard from the back, just for kicks, you can see him fires his stunner pistol just a couple times. It seems the ones that they have, so stunners, just to bring you up, I'm sure y'all know what that is here, but stunners basically a projectile launcher. It's made to kind of, generally speaking, go at shorter or at slower speeds in hopes of penetrating a shield. It's like the only projectile weapon that can, potentially, but only under certain circumstances. In order to kind of get, it's just in projectiles, in order to kind of get its, you know, thrust, it has to travel at decent speeds. So you're depending on like hitting an unshielded item, hitting someone with a shield running away from you, or you're moving away from them, or you know, both of those. Which again, when we're talking about shield interaction, we're talking about relative speed. So if something's running away from you at so many meters per second, and your flechette or whatever is going at this speed, you know, does it make that threshold to penetrate? And it's generally, because of that, it's not expected to actually like be a bullet per se. It's basically made to transfer poison or drugs to the target. It can't go fast enough to be like a bullet. So here we are. A Mala pistol is pretty much a pistol as we know them, for all intents and purposes. But yeah, you kind of hear the dart, like, you know, crash off through leaf after leaf after leaf as it kind of flies into the underbrush, and it's like nothing. Okay. You see Kuvar kind of looks back at the rear guard dude and gives him this look like, you know, undisciplined. Yeah, just had to take a pot shot type of thing. And with that, he kind of gives him that look that, you know, if you do that again without there being an actual target, you know, bad things. You become the next round of huntings. And you're sure that's happened more than once. But yeah, you continue on, and it looks like there is like a open spot up ahead. And they're like, we'll stop over here on the edge of here for a moment and do some more tracking. I'm sure I've seen spoor being the results of someone's passage to a tracker. I only know that because I watched this one show where they had professional African trackers and they used the spoor term. So there we are. Anyway, so yes, you're kind of at your group finds itself at the edge of this kind of like medium to small kind of clearing off to the side, so enough where you can get a good vantage point of it, but not so much that you're actually in the open, you know, basically literal sitting targets. And there's nothing worse than, you know, someone who isn't moving when they have their shield or can't move, because that's a bad place to be. But yeah, you sit down, and a couple of the two scouts are with you. They kind of distribute ration packs, and these are kind of like foil sealed, like jerky type meat, that type of thing. And there's like a little water pack that's kind of in with them. Like you crack open the water pack and you can drink from that. And they pass like around to each of you. And the Kuvar kind of looks over at Jindo. Can't remember his cover name. Actually, you literally put it in the Discord. Look over at Revan. Revan, we did a Revan in here now. Okay, had to come sooner or later. It's fine. You're fine. I'm just figuring shit. But yeah, so he looks over. Revan, how are you liking the Outback so far? I see you sweating quite profusely over there.
Yes, I'm not as accustomed to this climate as you are, apparently.
Who is, though?
Well, you seem to be for one.
He kind of grunts like he hates you. It's completely obvious. If you're if you weren't accompanying his favorite trekker of all time, you may just end up being like the tertiary hunter. He kind of like he looks over at Castian, and I'm assuming Castian is the same stoic Castian as always. Like this one. However, I see potential for you as a hunter, for certain. Perhaps I'll. And he kind of, I'm sorry, forgive my manners. And he kind of looks over to Misa, and he's like, "Is this your slave? And if so, is he for sale?"
He's not my slave, you imbecile.
Like, oh,
He's my boy toy.
he's my boy toy. He's like, this is like, meeting your idol, and then your idol telling you to shut the fuck up and you're a moron. So you can imagine the same effect in his eyes. Like, yeah. I didn't mean to offend.
Slave, okay.
Said no slave, so.
He said no slave.
My slave when I see you're my slave, but not my slave.
That makes him a slave, by the way.
Only in the bedroom.
He's just totally like taken aback. Like, oh my god, he would rather have been stabbed at this point.
We can arrange that.
We can arrange that.
Oh, no, you should mention that.
But yeah, so
It kind of leans up to him and goes, "His swords are much larger than they look to be."
and he kind of looks over and sees the freaking two-handed broadsword over his back, and is like, "Ooh, bigger than that." Yep.
I mean,
I just kind of wink.
A hand and a half sword as opposed to a broadsword.
Yeah. Oh my! All right, we won't get into that one. But yeah, he's totally taken aback and just like, oh, I want to apologize, and he's just totally horrified in every way, and eventually, but then it comes back to him. This is his hunt, and he has to stay in control. He doesn't want to show any weakness in front of his scouts, or else, they get all, brave in front of him and bold, and we don't need that out of a scout person. It's like, Let's continue. Twilight here lasts for a good hour and a half, thanks to the sun. Don't have much time left. We'll have to camp out here. It'll be interesting. And with that, you continue on, and there's more like skitterings in the bushes to the front of you and to the side of you, and but nothing happens. It's rather tame as things go. And
I mean, do any of the scouts, after drinking their water, seem to be thirsty still?
Are you going to like try to interest them in your water?
Yeah, I'll prefer, if someone, is like squeezing the last bit of, water out of their water pack, I'll, offer them my canteen.
Yeah, I'll say one of them will definitely just totally take it. It's like you offering a whole canteen instead of this little, have to have been like a quarter of a liter. What does that make out, a pint or something? Yeah, a little pint of water, and you could definitely do with more. And yeah, I'll say one of them definitely takes a few large gulps and hands it back to you. Many thanks.
I screw it on, and finish the last of my, water pack, as if, I don't need this canteen at the moment.
So yeah, you all continue on, and it has to be like, again, it's as he mentioned, it's like, Twilight only lasts for so long, and suddenly it's getting like dark, and it's time to set up camp for the night, and you guys have been kind of going at it so hard that like Kuvar, he turns around and the back guy isn't there anymore. He's like,
I grab I grab my blade out, and like partially unsheath it. Like, where is he?
I knew I should have put him on point. You can kind of see him like, he's half angry at the failure of this guy and half like angry at himself for not noticing it since. But it was probably, it's one of those things where like, you're not literally walking single file or whatever. You're spread out so as not to be attacked. And, you do go, past a couple bends, you lose sight of the back guy for a little bit, that kind of thing. And these guys already seem kind of, probably for good reason, overconfident. So yeah, so suddenly he's like, oh, it's a little danger. We only have one guard.
Like, I'll take the rear guard position. And as I walk past Miza, I'm like, after all, it's the best view.
Oh my god. So Kuvar is only too happy to have an auxiliary scout to kind of take it up there. Take the back spot. Like, we'll stay closer together. Looks like the prey is getting a little more strategic this evening. Stand first watch. In fact, he goes over to the other guard and he's like, "You'll stand with him. You lose some sleep, but you're a strong fellow, aren't you?"
I just nod.
Yes, my lord.
I asked Kuvar, did you help make a habit of running off on you?
Oh, he hates you so much. Yeah, again, it's one thing to be, taken down a few pegs by your idol. It's another thing for someone else to do it to you in front of them, who is not that person. So yeah, he kind of like, he takes out his blade and he's like, "If this were another place, we'd have words. But I respect your position as a companion of the great Miza Kotrov." And he kind of puts his blade back in its sheath. And the other scout is already set up, kind of like, these are soft tents, but there's like 2 of them. And he's like, as you like. And he kind of has Miza choose hers or whatever, that kind of thing. There's only 3 of you going to be sleeping tonight.
So Miza chooses one. Does it matter which one I choose?
There's what?
I'm guessing it shouldn't matter which one I choose for me to take my men with me.
No. It's just it's more of like, he's being the gentleman, if you will, and they're exactly the same in every fashion, form, and everything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, these are definitely smaller. They're come up to about like waist size. They're meant to be very temporary shelters. And these are actual tents, actual real tents in the way you and I know them. You can see, like, okay, you're like, why did he not? Why are these not shielded? Because you can shield small structures and things, but that's just a bit too heavy to carry. That's the downside. So yeah, so these aren't shielded. Which is, you can see it kind of makes him uneasy as he kind of has his own, as he kind of takes down his body shield as he gets in there to save charge for when it's really needed, when he's going into action. But night falls, and Castian finds himself standing watch with the last scout. What do you do? And I'm assuming Jindo is with Riza or Miza? Excuse me.
Sure. Yeah. Let's say for our own security, we invent whatever excuse we need to keep, like, Cassian's with one of the scouts, and but like we can say that one of us in the tent maybe could also be like sort of light, sleeping a little lighter or up as well, to kind of like, hey, in case there's trouble. Yeah.
True. Excellent.
Like I'm not angling to off this scout. Killing silently is not really one of the things that I'm good at. And frankly, a greatsword makes a lot of noise when it goes through someone. So I think I'm actually watching, because after all, if they attacked them once, they are certainly weaker now than if they attacked them at the camp. So they could actually be a threat, whoever they are.
All right, cool. Thanks real quick.
Gotta hydrate. Good thing it wasn't someone's canteen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it doesn't kill immediately. It takes a second, but I'm sure that caused them to lag behind and then die.
It smells like almonds. It's weird. Inside joke. Watch Bedlam Hall for more on that. Yeah, so go ahead and let's have you look around. Let's see here.
What would you like the difficulty to be?
Let's see. So it's nighttime in a strange place. I'm going to actually make this let's call it a difficulty of 4.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm assuming you're going to be using probably discipline, I think is what we want here. Discipline is kind of like, again, that's kind of what you're doing.
It's kind of the observing one.
Yep. What do you want for your drive? What are you looking at?
I think this falls under duty. I have to do what's, within my duty to protect us and protect my fellow Gildrun folk.
Okay.
Gildrun, whatever.
Excellent. And now your trade as a protector makes this easier, so it's actually difficulty 3.
And then because I have constantly watching as a talent, I reduce the difficulty by 2, so it's a difficulty 1.
Ooh. Tell me more about this talent.
Constantly watching. Whenever I attempt a skill test to detect danger or hidden enemies, I reduce the difficulty by 2 to a minimum of 0.
Nice.
And then it has a secondary thing that if we're in a conflict, that I can cause the cost of keeping the initiative to be increased by 2 for the opposing side.
Oh, cool. Very cool. All right. Go ahead and do the thing.
So,
If it generates some momentum, you do.
I do.
Cool. Yep. All right. 1 momentum. Excellent.
And I'll leave that.
Was that?
I'll leave that in the pool. I don't need any more info at the moment.
Cool. All right. So yeah, so you're kind of doing your thing. You and the other and the scout are kind of like on opposite ends of the kind of the camp that you've are calling it now. Kind of circling back and changing your route here and there. It's a smaller area, but
Right.
changing your speed when you cross paths. Kind of keeping a lookout. You probably have some kind of light source in the middle of the camp. Not an actual fire, but like a very small glow globe type of thing. Probably more like a chemical light than anything, like a cellulite stick type of thing as we know it.
Mhm.
For at least give some light without actually creating a fire, which would be a not great idea in this situation. And yeah, so you're kind of doing your thing, and there's this point where you kind of stop and you look, and your eyes narrow, and it's like your brain is kind of disassembling this thing you see. It's like, okay, is that a shape? That's a thing. Those are actually two symmetrical eyes, and now they're coming at me. And yeah, you're about to be leapt upon by someone. As they get closer, you actually see that they're basically wearing like tattered clothing, and they do have a body shield on. But you see the typical half shield configuration where there's like on the belt, which you kind of take notice of. There's a arrow pointing to the left side.
How convenient for the person fighting that individual to know where the shield is.
Yes,
This must have been on the discount rack.
yes. So you have the upper hand. What do you do?
Um, Again, killing silently is not one of my things, so I don't think I can dispose of this person or not kill them. Um, so regardless of who they are, I'm pretty sure they're going to have to get run through.
Fair enough. So yeah, so this is interesting. Yeah, so and in their hand you see like the promised bone knife, basically that they were given. So yeah, let's do this thing. So yeah, let me set the stakes. I'm gonna say this is all of like a 10 for this guy. Um, let's see here, and let's see 10, and it's harder for him to hit you. Yeah, you have the upper hand, so it's basically your go. So yeah, so it'll be 10 to resist. Ooh, and he actually has 3 successes. So what are you gonna do?
Well, luckily I was prepared for this. Um,
Exactly.
I do have a sword at the ready.
Yep.
Um,
You have your long blade, which of course you're using your focus with for battle.
Correct.
And what is the drive you're using?
Um, I think this really does fall under the duty for, duty is ours, consequences are God's. Whoever that is, they attacked me. So, uh, sorry, not sorry.
All right. All right. And okay. And you have a great sword, which is an asset, which makes this possible, as opposed to making it easier, etc.
Yep.
I don't think any of your protector or solid and stoic traits really help you here potentially.
I don't think so. I mean, it's no more than anyone else getting in a fight that has, some skill.
Great.
Protector is more if I'm defending other, someone else actively, like interposing myself or, trying to stop something from happening.
Totally. All right. So yeah, your
I will
difficulty is
spend one momentum that's in the pool
cool.
for extra die. I
All right, 3 it is. Oops.
think you went the wrong direction.
When they're under it, that's right. All right, do the thing. Nice.
So it's
Actually,
actually
4.
4.
All right. Yeah. So 4 successes beats his 3.
Putting
And
one
let's
back in
see
the
here.
pool.
Put it back in the pool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and yeah. So so why don't you describe what happens again? This is what I do kind of want to put out there is that what we're seeing this very second is not a normal shield fight. This is very much, Castian attacking like the unshielded side of him to do damage. If this were a shield fight, things look totally different than what we're used to seeing. There's a lot more interplay and this kind of thing. But in this case, I'm assuming Castian is totally just looking to take that unshielded side and chop. So tell me what happens. What does it look like?
I'd say one of the things when you're fighting someone with a greatsword is that, small movements, but, since the point is, far out, you can do a lot of, shifting on angles and changing the direction. Almost like, a fencing blade, how it doesn't take much of a movement to, change the, where the tip is pointing. So as he comes in and I just, move my, wrist to the side a little bit, causing that blade to, just slip just to the edge of where that shield is covering. And, if someone was watching it, it looks like almost like he, impales himself upon the blade.
Gotcha. Yeah, straight through. There's a loud noise, a scream as he feels like that brief second where it's like, oh my god, that is going into me, and then the sudden silence is probably cut off, one of his lungs more or less, and the everything stops and turns into a gurgle. You kind of like get that spit of blood on your shield that kind of drips down off of it. Even blood moves too fast to penetrate the shield, and everyone is suddenly awake and whatnot. The other guard is going over there, and he kind of like goes down to the body and like stabs it underneath the chin with his blade, because like how could he not have done something, this is kind of his job. Just wanted anybody showing him up. So so with that. Kuvar, he's like one of the first out. You can see he's like, again, he's past his prime. So he's kind of fumbling out, but he has like a blade at the ready in one of his hands as he's pushing himself up. And he's like, has that that frenzied look in his eyes, which you can all see as you yourselves probably get out of the tent, and kind of see it in that dim light that's created by that chemical light. And what you see is like the end of it, the sound is like, the long blade comes off of the body, and like this other dude, the scout, is sitting on top, and he has this look of like triumph in his eyes as he takes out his blade and wipes it on his shirt sleeve as Kuvar comes out. Like,
I feel like my blade is still actually stuck in him, like coming out of the body in the dirt.
Right. Yeah. So Kuvar looks between you and just shakes his head.
And I take the blade out. Sorry, this one could not wait for you.
I have a feeling he was waiting for me. Well, I'll not get any more sleep tonight. He kind of plops himself out in front of the tent, and he kind of looks back to his own guy, who obviously didn't have a damn thing to do with this, and says, yeah, go ahead and keep guard as we sit. And he offers, he gestures to Castian and offers him like a sip from his flask.
It's like, you do me great honor. And I'll take a sip from it, assuming he hasn't also poisoned his own flask.
Right? Yeah. He actually drinks of it afterward, as like just kind of he's kind of probing you. This you should be afraid of poison at all times, and so this is something like this would be very much a oh yeah, totally relax, we're good type of thing going on. And he as Misa and the other one, I have to keep looking up his name. Revan get out, come out, and they're all, I'm assuming that pretty much the same, like Misa, you have good taste in companions. Like this, the was first person to be blooded in this night's hunt was your man.
Told me he was good with the swords.
Yeah. He'll kind of like just nod, and he looks at the length of that hand and a half sword again, and we'll break there for our halfway point. It's exactly just a little over a halfway point. So let's take our 10-minute break, hydrate, unhydrate, as the case may be, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in 10 minutes if that's all right with you. Sound good? All right, see you in 10. I got Susan mid chomp there on purpose. Now I want a Dove bar or whatever the hell that is. I don't have a Dove bar. I don't have an ice cream bar of any kind. It's just a tragedy right now.
That's just torture right there.
It's
right.
too cold to eat fast.
No brain freeze. Don't get any brain freeze. Excellent.
She's just concentrating really hard on Mentat stuff.
Totally. All right. When last we left our adventurers, Castian had just survived a slave attack by murdering the slave. Well, no, it's not murder. It was self-defense. But yes. So yeah, slave has been impaled, and as Kuvar is kind of like comes to the morning light. The one remaining scout is just very out of it. Like, it's been a long freaking night, and like if he so much as screwed up anything, like it would be, again, he really would be the next hunt, that type of thing. So yeah, Kuvar goes into the pack of the scout and takes out another set of those kind of ration packs, and hands them out to everyone. Takes one himself. Chomps down on that kind of like the jerky meat that's in there and that kind of thing. And there are 2 left, Misa. Just two left for the hunt, and they're the best. I'm curious as to what your strategy would be. We know they're in the perimeter here. We can only go so far. What are your thoughts on today's hunt? He kind of looks at you with those eyes of, like, again, like the gleeful fan looking up at his mentor, wannabe mentor, and looking for that answer, that perfect answer.
I'm trying to come up with something. I'm not really coming up with anything at the moment.
He has just that look in his eyes. Yeah? Huh?
Let's let my guest see what he has as a idea. And I look at Revan to see if he has some of it's kind of like for stalling, and some of it's also kind of for like a laugh sort of thing to see what he can come up with.
Oh, did we mention that Kuvar hates that guy? Kuvar hates him.
Kuvar hates me. So, like, something about, well, I certainly hope, whatever's out there is more, the rest of the help you've hired here, or whatever you call help or passes for help these days. Like I whatever I say has to be a dig at him.
Right. Yeah, and you can see in his face is just holding solid. Oh, how he's envisioning blades in your throat and blood just spurting onto his face. Oh, yes. the wonder of it all, but that's in his mind. You're going to see that
He must be well disciplined.
Longing. Yes. Or at least doesn't want to do that. He just want to, take the life of his idol in front of her. But, there'll be a challenge enough. Now that we only have my one scout, we should probably get a, more reliable rear guard, don't you think? Don't you think, Master Kilton?
Are you suggesting something?
I'm more than suggesting. I say that it'd be best if you brought up the rear guard. Those pretty blades of yours, they should be used for something.
You're quite right. You're quite right. It almost sounded like you were giving me an order for a moment there, but that's kind of a tall order from someone whose own blades don't seem to be very bloody.
Oh yeah, okay, now you've done it. The popcorn is out. Yep. His blade is now drawn, his shield is now on. He's like, You've crossed the line, sir. I call you out.
And I'm keeping an eye on the scout.
Yeah, same. Blade is out, shield is on.
He looks over to his scout. Make sure that there's no interference. And he turns to Jindo, and he gives just a little look towards Misa, and he's like, I apologize, Misa, but a man can only be pushed so far. I'm sure you understand.
Misa just kind of like shrugs, leans against a tree, crosses her arms, does a big sigh.
Alrighty.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys to the death. So yeah, let's do this thing. Let's see here. There we are. Okay. So we're actually in a dual state at this moment. So you can make this bigger without totally blurring it all out. Good enough. All right. Let's actually going to move this to the... back. 1 second. Okay. All right. So let's put some stuff on the table here. Red will be him. So he has a shield. I meant to have like tokens for this, but here's where we are. Shield. And then shield. And he has Kinjal. And let's see, you have what do you have? What are we calling? What are they called in your assets?
It's called sock and buskin, but it's a blade. It's like a long blade and a kinjal. Because kinjal is like 20 centimeter, something like that. Like it's a short sword.
Yeah, kinjal is basically a short sword for all intents and purposes. Okay, so let's say kinjal. Are you also using your other blade?
Yeah. Like the Ginaz mostly, as I understand, like dual blade style. Like not exclusively, but mostly, from what I can tell.
Interesting. Yeah, well, that works for me. All right, so cool. All right, so we have assets, and let's see how well we can do this one. So let me bring up the conflicts real quick.
And I'm guessing we probably don't have any momentum left. Do we remember where we were at with that? We probably would have lost one if we had any for scene switch.
We would have lost. I think we only had one, and we switched scenes.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
have a talent that lets me do stuff at the start of the duel, but I have to spend a momentum to do it.
Gotcha.
Could I generate threat instead?
I think so. So let's just, for sake of saying it, do it. I think technically it's like if it says it's I really have to look that over because like a lot of these things will say spend momentum, but then again also momentum can be alternatively used to get spend threat. So but some of these things specifically say like you have to spend threat to do this. So I'm going to say this needs an actual momentum in order to do it.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check and make sure.
Cool. No, please.
What about determination? Does that do anything for you?
It's a different thing, I think. Like determination is I don't think it can really stand in specifically for threat or momentum, but it does other things, I think.
Yeah.
As far as my reading of it.
Yeah, you're quite correct. Yeah, so it can be basically you can spend a point of determination to do some things you do with momentum. Like I think you can create like an asset right away, but it's a level 1 asset. You can or also, I think also remove one if one's on the table. It can be used before you roll the dice to have one of your dice be a 1 automatically, or it can be used to re-roll all of your dice. That kind of thing. As long as it's used with what do you call it? A drive that has high enough to have a drive statement with it. Cool. So let's do this thing. So so our first duel. So let me look things over. I kind of had an idea perhaps this is going to happen. Let's see here. Okay. So we have our traits on the table. Let's see here. So actually, I'm gonna go. Just want to get the act quickly or act subtly or act boldly thing down. Let's see here. Sorry, let's make sure I get this. Where the heck is it?
If you're looking for like moving assets subtly or boldly in dueling, it's on 172 in the PDF that I have.
Oh, good. Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. See here. Let's see. Okay, so it mentions them, but what's the? I want to make sure I get the actual thing down. So let me.
I think it is a move test at 2 if you want to move something subtly or boldly.
Correct.
You can move an asset just as an action, though.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So just put this on the table again. I like to try to do the teaching thing where we're showing people how to do it, but again, this is our very first time doing it, so bear with us. So if you move, yes, it's a difficulty 2 to move subtly or boldly. Otherwise, it's just a move. So if you move an asset subtly, your subtlety limits your opponent's ability to respond. Let's see here. If you pass, then you move your asset and you reduce your cost to keep the initiative by 0. Basically, your subtlety allows you to move again or act again before your opponent. So if you move boldly, you provoke a hasty response from your opponent. If you pass the test, then you move an asset, and then you may move one of your the opposing character's assets. Your ploy has provoked a reaction, the wrong one type of thing. And basically each turn you get to move once. You get to move an asset or use an asset or create an asset, that kind of thing. Cool. All right. So on the right side in the green trunks, we have Jindo. On the left side, we have the dirty Harkonnen in the red trunks. So basically, yeah, you'll. I'm going to say that Jindo has advantage here. So go ahead and tell me what you're doing. What's your goal here?
My goal is going to be. I think what I'm going to do is try to move an asset boldly.
Okay.
To start. Like I want to do pretty much what it says on the tin. I want to provoke a reaction from him. And basically, I want to take my long blade and kind of just tie up his blade with it, and see if I can't, just trick him into believing that I don't know what I'm doing, basically.
Okay. So I have Kinjal and knife for purposes of my illustration here. I do have you on the right pages. Okay, I do. All right. So basically, when you do move boldly, for example, you basically are moving yours, and then you're moving the opponent's also. So the opponent's blade or asset moves to a zone of your choosing. That makes sense. So basically, if you move their asset, for example, his Kinjal, you can move that to here, or here.
Right. Like, as I understand it, you kind of you can move out of position. So they have to then spend a move to get it back into position to use it properly. Does that sound right?
Yeah, so here, and again, before we do this whole thing. So let's say, for example, you basically want to attack knife to his Kinjal. You could, if you were able to move boldly, you could potentially, and you succeeded, you could move yours here and move his here, so that it's like you've misdirected his blade to the other side. So now he is free to move here. You're free to move here on your next turn into his personal space, and the turn after that, since you've already moved an item, you can then use the asset and make an actual attack. It's only when you're inside this area here that you can actually make an attack. Before you're there, you're not making any attack rolls. So kind of keep that in mind. So this is more like when you want him to be somewhere your blade wants to be, basically. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's most effective, of course, when you have the two weapons. But yeah, so basically, yeah, right now, basically, you're defended. He needs to move one of these. He needs to move your assets out of his way before he can actually get into your shield and to you.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So if you do want to move boldly, just go ahead and roll it.
So we're just making a move test at difficulty 2?
Making a battle test at difficulty 2.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm assuming I get my focus. I have focuses in dueling and shield fighting. So
you get you definitely get a focus. In fact, why don't we bring up your sheet real quick? Okay. Yeah, so yeah, you definitely have a focus for this. Multiple focuses in the same area don't really help you out. You are a Gina swordsman, so it makes things easier. So there's that. So yes, we definitely battle. What's your drive?
I think drive this time is going to be power. This feels a lot more selfish than what duty would allow for.
Like you really just wanted to cut this guy up.
His hatred is becoming mutual.
Fair enough. Awesome. All right. Go ahead and roll it. Your difficulty to do the bold move, is going to be 1 because of your thing there. All right. So actually at 2. So we've created some momentum also. You're now up to 1 momentum. Good job. Cool. All right. So yeah, you make your move. So move your asset and then move one of his assets. Really, the only one you can move is his Kinjal.
Yeah. So I basically want to, and I guess narratively this would probably look like, me making a a very hasty and just a very sort of like kind of like rookie looking move to stab inward. And he, the obvious counter for him is to take the Kinjal and direct it away. So yeah, I would basically move my knife into his bottom guard there. I'm going to use top and bottom for reference, just because I think it's easier visually
Then left and right. Sure.
My left or his left. So I'll move into his bottom guard with that, and then he has to move the Kinjal to the top, I guess. We'll say that.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
And Scott, could you just throw initials on the Kinjals?
Yep. Let's do here.
Good call, since these might get moved around a lot.
Just because of the same color text, it's kind of hard.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, okay. So, yes. So now your blade is here. Your Kinjal is still in a guard here. All right. He is going to move. I'm going to say he is... Let's see here. This is interesting. So it's in his own guard. I'm going to say he is also going to try to move boldly. He's basically trying to get back to where he belongs, more or less, and move your blade back out of his guard because he sees it's a little too close. So, for purposes of his thing here, he is at a 13. All right. So 2 successes to make the move. So yeah, he's going to kind of bring everything back to where it was. He's moving you back. And I'm going to spend 2 threat to keep the initiative. So I'm down to 2 threat. Sorry, going back and forth on screens. All right, so he's going to keep the initiative, and now he is going to kind of try another bold move. He's going to try to basically kind of make you like double parry, that type of thing, on the one side. So he's going to basically try to move in on your guard and move you around. So let's...
Okay. His difficulty goes up by 1 whenever he keeps the initiative. So,
gotcha. All right. Let's see here. So that's going to be a 3. So let's see how he does. Let's see. Not enough. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you can see what he is trying to do, and he just fails. He's like, again, kind of narrating this fight. There's a lot of this is a full unshielded fight we're talking about here now. So there's already a lot of back and forth. Like, Jindo's 2 blades are going around. He's basically... We're probably actually making contact with like the shield for at a time, but his guard is keeping you basically at bay from pressing that. So you're seeing a lot of moving around in this. It's a little muddy, so everyone is kind of making sure they're footing. Also, there's circling going on here as they kind of go back and forth, and yeah, you see, it's like. Castian, you'll specifically see like how like adroitly that Jindo is kind of faking his not fighting too well. It's like, oh yeah, he totally, you can see how he like moved his guard over here, and like, oh yes. So yeah, you can like see like it wouldn't take much for him to then go in if he was really not playing with this man. But yeah, so yeah, there's like you can now smell like the ozone in the air, even in this open space here, as like kind of taps on shields go back and forth, and guards get rearranged, and knives and Kinjals are going here and there. The scout, by the way, is kind of watching with this weird glee, like it's like one thing to watch your master like take out like an underarmed servant or slave, and it's totally another one to like, fight a guy with like who came with 2 blades, that kind of thing. All right, so he does not get to move. The move is yours now, Jindo.
Okay. Let's try moving subtly. And I want to try to subtly, because we already did the bold move, so I want to do a subtle move to try to move my knife into his top guard.
Okay, so now you are removing your defense from this side too. Keep in mind.
Right.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and make your roll. Difficulty is 2.
Okay. And we'll keep power as the same drive, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. Nothing about this has really changed for Jindo, so that's fair. All right, and actually, oh wow, you got actually 4 successes. So let's bump your momentum up. You're now up to 5 momentum out of nowhere. Good job.
I spend 2 of those to make a trait on him.
Sure.
I feel like this might be a moot point, but I want to make him like cocky.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's actually because it was a difficulty 2 and you got 4. It's only 2 momentum, but yes, you can definitely spend the momentum.
Yeah. I just want to spend 2 to make a trade on him, so that, and like I said, this might be, this might already be obvious, but I feel like making him cocky and overconfident is something that would be easy to lean on later.
Oh, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. All right, let's pop it on there.
So I sort of give him a few sort of like gimme blocks. I make some moves a little slower than I can. I make some things, and I'm really selling the, kind of grunting and and wheezing and making him feel like, he's not as old as he thinks he is.
All right. So we moved to his top card, and what's your keep initiative? So what's your next move?
Next move is going to be to move that knife into his into the center there.
Okay. All right. And you moved it, but you don't have a turn left to use it. So
right.
Let's
so
see.
You can't keep the initiative twice in a row, basically, even if you subtly move. I think that's right, as far as I know.
No, it just costs you zero momentum to keep the
Oh, that's right. But you can still only keep the momentum once at a time.
You absolutely have to give it back to the other side after keeping momentum. That's kind of the cost. You get like you get 2 things right away, or 2 of you can act depending on what type of conflict. But yeah, then it has to pass back to the other. So he has no choice but to basically either go in on you, or he's going to actually try another bold move and see if he can move you out. So this is going to be interesting. I can see how this could go on for quite some time, but I suppose that's what a duel is like, right? So
moves and
yeah. So he's cocky. So yeah. So he's cocky. So the difficulty will go up to 1 to a 3, because cocky is actually making this harder to do what he needs to do. So let's see, and I'm going to use my another threat to give him an extra die. So he's down to 1 threat. You guys haven't been buying any threat. It's very sad, very saddening to me.
We need to, so we can get some of those parallel advancements.
Yeah, those parallel, exactly. I just don't have enough threat, guys. I'm sorry. All right, so he's going to do 3 dice, and he needs 3 successes. Oh, and a complication. I get 1 success, no, and a complication.
Let's see.
I'm going to actually say that, like, he thinks he's making a great advance. I'm Oh man, I'm not gonna. I suppose I won't make it cocky too, though I could. I'm gonna take 2 more threat, just because, like I said, I'm literally at 1 threat. How sad is that for my side of the table? All right, so I'm up to 3 threat. You're up to 1 momentum. As a note, I'm gonna take you back here for a sec. See how things stand. Oop. So 3 threat, 1 momentum, and the cocky is on the NPC. All right. Let's see here. So he failed, and so he's not moving at all. And he gave me 2 threat. Okay, now you can actually use your asset. So go ahead and make your roll. He has a shield, so your difficulty is automatically +1. I'm going to make his set the stakes for you, basically roll. And I'm actually, you know what? Let's keep spending my threat. I want to make this guy do better. I'm going to give him 2 dice. He sees like how he's. This is not a good place, so I'm going to spend all 3 threat and buy 2 dice for his defense on this. So I'll bring it to 40-20. Let's see here. And okay, so I'm sorry, I'm kind of going through my brain how this works. All right, so I'm setting the difficulty for you. So let's just roll, and that'll let us know how many. So his target is again 13.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to do some mental math there. Another complication, and 2 successes. So, all right. So you have your difficulty is 2.
Okay. What do we think that complication is going to be?
Let's see. I'm gonna say bad footing. Again, I kind of narrated the muddy soil that you're on. And so now he has bad footing. So things are looking not great for him.
Okay. So this is just a straight battle roll against 2 difficulty.
That is correct.
So would cocky or bad footing reduce that difficulty, or I guess my trait would probably the swordsman might.
Well, yeah. So we kind of So let's work with that. So his So it's 2 to do that. He has cocky. Bad footing isn't hit yet. But yeah, so I'll bring that brings it down to 1. You make a good point on that. But yeah, and then your trait makes it easier. So yeah, I think you've already brought this down to a 0 actually, or I'm sorry, a 1. A 1.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah.
So this is now a 1.
All right, and I've got a momentum left, right? Think.
Yes. Actually, let's see here. So it's difficulty 2, and it makes it easier to hit for that thing. So actually, yeah. So So you're actually down to it's a 0 again. So, but yes, you do have 1 momentum left.
Let's spend it for a die.
Okay.
And we'll do power as the drive again. So we're rolling 3d20 with focus. I hit the thing. I don't know where it went.
Yep,
there it goes. So
All
that'll be 4 successes.
1, 2, 4 successes. Cool. All right, 4 successes, and let's see here. So now here's where things get different in Dune than elsewhere. So until this point, nobody has taken any damage. There really is no damage hit points per se. There is defeating someone. So basically you made 4 successes on the 0 success thing that you brought it down to. let's see here. So because this is a notable NPC, it's an extended task. So your asset is still at a level 0, correct?
I mean, I think I put it at a potency of 1 just because it was a little bit better, like, quality. But I don't know. We never really discussed asset quality that much, but that's just kind of what I'm going off of.
Like, I think it'll start as a 0, and then you can. That's where the whole advancing potency through advancements will happen.
Okay. Is there a way for me? I thought there was a way for me to boost.
Yeah, you can. I believe you can spend a momentum to add to that. So basically, you've scored just by hitting him with succeeding here. You did 2 points of damage to his thing, basically. He has, let's see, a battle of 4, and I believe you can spend momentum to add to that. Normally, if you had like a more potent asset, that would add to that. So 2 + 1 would be 3, for example, that kind of thing. Let's see.
Each successful attack scores points equal to 2 plus the quality of the asset used. So you may spend 2 momentum to increase the quality of the asset by +1 for that attack only. So, so basically, I could do 3. Yeah, I could. Well, it says you can only spend 2, so I assume you can't spend 4. So that would get me 3 against his 4. So quite a ways towards that extended task.
Yep. So yeah, as we kind of are looking at that from the outside point of view, again, this has gone back and forth. There's been, walking in the muck. The circle between the two gets tighter and farther away as time goes on. You see a lot of blades deflecting off of body shields, a lot of forward and rearward movement to make use of the body shield. One of the things I'm always talking about is, like, again, this is relative speed. If in real life, if you're about to be stabbed by something, your best thing to do is to jump backwards as fast as possible and not be there. In a shield fight, depending on your opponent, it may be a great idea to throw yourself at the blade. You've now increased that relative speed between the two over the threshold of the shield. So there's a bunch of that going on, but if your opponent is good enough where they can then back up, negating that, now you just help stab yourself. So this is all this big interfight that's going on. It's this game of chess on 3 different levels, basically. He is, again, and one of the things about this system is he hasn't been cut per se. You've just become closer to defeating him. Until you're defeated, unless there's some complication involved, you're not damaged, as we would see in other games. You either walk away just fine, or you're defeated, generally speaking.
Right. It's all or nothing, as I understand it.
Yeah.
So maybe this this hit right toward the extended task is like, I do manage to get my knife into his shield, and instead of doing an actual cut or something, I just graze him enough to where he notices it and might even go oh shit, the reaction for poison, but it's not poisoned, and it's I am just trying to get in his head, and oh shit, this guy isn't even using poison, and he got inside my shield and he cut me, but he didn't cut me.
Right. The also, as you two are kind of sitting there watching this scene, the scout, as his master gets touched, if you will, he draws his blade, and he looks like he's preparing to join the foray and turn this in from a duel into a small what's the word? Small
skirmish
or whatever. Skirmish. Thank you.
Well, Go ahead. I was going to say, I don't want to, keep him, uninvolved if he wants to be involved.
It could be bad for Jindo. Reza, what are you doing?
I was gonna put a hand on the arm of the scout and just like give him like a shake of my head to not interfere.
Cool.
And hopefully
Well,
my beam is enough to make him stop.
Your
Let's find out.
reputation.
That word.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and let's make a roll. Let's. So this is discipline. Discipline is to when you're trying to intimidate someone, basically. So what's your drive that you want to use? I do as I please. It's a good one, I think.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna go with power
Okay. All right. Power and discipline then.
and not focused.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this a difficulty of 1. This is really, again, he feels like he needs to, but you're like a venerated guest, like bad. You can imagine this Harkonnen citizen who's not a slave. What goes through their head every decision they make involving someone in power. Will this make me into a slave type of thing? So yeah, it's pretty easy, but let's just see what happens. I'm curious. So go ahead and make a 1 difficulty roll. 0. Oh, and a complication. All right. So yeah,
I think I'm going to use my bolster and allow her to re-roll that.
ooh. What does your bolster do? Can you...
Actually, hold on. Do we have any momentum? Do you have any threat? That's also the question.
I have 0 threat. There's 0 threat. There's 0 momentum right now.
Then I will add 2 to threat to allow Reza to re-roll the dice pool, and she can use discipline instead of the skill she was using if she wants. My discipline, which is 7.
Okay.
And I think that's like me over, her shoulder, just shaking my head at whatever he's about to think of. To give him pause.
Gotcha. All right. So so it costs 2 threat.
Yeah.
All right.
Which didn't help apparently, but oh well.
No. His wanting to be there for his boss is much greater than what we can stop him from doing.
Well, there's always the option 2 then.
There was the normal way and the big sword way. So yeah.
Yes, I believe the big sword way is going to have to become involved now.
Just had to happen. Okay. So actually I'm going to say this is going on in the midst of the duel. So whatever you're going to do, Castian, do it.
I'm going to run him through because he's a Harkonnen scum.
Excellent. He does have a shield on, so your difficulty is going to be higher, and I'm not going to make this a duel because we don't have 2 simultaneous duels going. And this really is, again, he's a minor NPC, so it's not as important to the theme here. But let's see here. Let me set the stakes for you real quick.
Sure.
Let's see here. I'm going to say this guy has all of let's see. Yeah, let's call this a 12. All right. So your difficulty is 1.
Okay. I'll be using battle with my focus of long blades and duty. 814 focus, yes.
All right. Oh, well, that's 4 successes. All right, let's bump up your momentum since we had that. So that's 3 momentum because it was difficulty 1. And my threat, I'm going to take Reza's as threat. Cool. He's a minor NPC at best. So yeah, basically, you do what you want to do. So what does this one look like?
I think as he moves towards probably
And
against.
Keep in mind with the narration that this one is shielded, so kind of keep that in mind as you kind of do this.
Yeah, so I think it's probably as he, goes to move against Jindo, which I assume he would be moving against Jindo. I place myself in front of him with my, large blade, sort of in front of me. And, we probably, spar briefly before, he just misestimates, how dangerous even a blade this size can be, in a shield fight.
Right. I see a lot of in kind of envisioning what this would look like with the shield again, a long blade, long heavy blade against the shield. I just have this thing that there's like a lot of like blade basically ending up resting on someone's neck, the weight of it helping it, and it's just a matter of time before it penetrates and the slice happens or that kind of thing.
With a blade of this size, you can bring it up behind you to actually, take up a large amount of the blade so that the, points, still, very close in. So maybe, thought I was, doing something, silly, and, the blades, hilts way back here, and he advances, and, sure enough, that point is still sticking right at his head.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. So you see this guy fall. It's it was not a contest, and if only this guy just stayed still, maybe he would have survived this adventure, but probably not. Probably definitely not. Yeah. So during the duel, by the way, you do notice, Reza, that Kuvar is sparing you a glance here and there. He's on one side, he's so proud that he gets to kill somebody in front of his, hero
Idol.
or whatever, idol. But on the other hand, it is also thinking, what if this goes badly? I get to die in front of her. So he's still riding on the cockiness that Jindo has given him. So probably more of the former, less of the latter. But yeah, let's see what continues now. So, all right. So we had a successful hit there. Successful contact, if you will. He's going to try yet again to do the whole bold move thing. But now he has bad footing and he's getting cocky. So things are getting harder. I'm actually going to say that because he has been touched, I'm going to spend threat to remove the cocky. I think that seems reasonable too. So I'm going to spend 2 out of my 4 threat. Remove his cocky and leave him with bad footing. He's felt the blade of this guy already, so cocky doesn't make sense anymore. So yeah, spinning it there. So he's going to try to do another bold move. In this case, it'll be a difficulty of 3 because it's bad footing. 2 successes, so he does not make it. So he's just there. That leaves you free to just act again. You can now use an asset yet again, if you would like.
Yeah, so this is using just a straight up battle roll to use the knife in his shield there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me set the stakes again. So let's see how we do. He's a 13. 0 successes. Difficulty 0. Go big or go home, Jindo.
Yeah, I'll spend a momentum to get an extra die, and we'll go big or go home.
Sounds good. All right, you do have 2 momentum left should you choose to use it.
Okay, sticking with power for the drive.
Excellent. All right, that's 2, 3, 4 successes. Damn, it's a lot of momentum. Yep. All right, you fill up your momentum table again. All right, so describe the coup de grace. What does that look like?
I think whenever Jindo does this, it's like he doesn't immediately like go for a kill, a killing blow. Like he just it like maims and incapacitates him in such a way that like he is pretty much powerless, but he's gonna he's gonna bleed out. And I'm gonna use that bonus momentum from to fight someone is to know them to get some information out of him.
Oh, interesting. So again, I think I failed to answer your question on like what do I think that's used for. So let's see here. So like that momentum is kind of like it intimates that you're learning something about them from their way they fight. So what I'm thinking this is actually for is kind of like this is for you to create opportunities to make assets to use against them. So, for example, to fight them as no one, I'm going to spend one of the momentum to get more information. Oh, you can see that he favors his left. And okay, I'm going to spend another. Okay, you can see that there's also like a limp on his left side. It looks like he had like a bad accident, so he's weak on his left. So now, I've now found out this information about him, or like he leads with this side or that side, and now you can use now that can become an easy to justify trait that you can now put on him, weak on the left. And then use that for yourself or against him, that type of thing. Well, actually, against him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The only thing that I read it when like it says when you win a conflict using battle. So like if I win a conflict losing battle, they may not be alive.
Yeah. So let me look at it again. Maybe I've read it wrong, and that's absolutely possible. I just want to take a look at it real quick. But I think you make a lot of sense.
However we want to make it work narratively. We could create a posthumous trait on this guy, and I don't know.
No. Let's take a look at what you're saying, because I definitely want to give your talent its due.
Like you found a coded note or something, maybe.
Let's see here. Okay. To fight someone is to know one. So yeah, you're an expert in studying your foe in conflict, learning how they think and gleaning secrets from them based on how they move, attack, and defend. So your secrets you're learning from are specifically have to be based on those things. When you select this talent, choose a skill. When you win a conflict using the chosen skill, you gain 2 bonus momentum points, which may be used to obtain information or create a trait that represents some knowledge or insight about your opponent. Like, yeah, that's interesting. That's so narratively strong there. So like, could this be something like, like during the fight, you'd realize he was like angling to protect someone. Oh, that person is now important to them. So now we can glean that information, that kind of thing. So let's see here.
Right, or like maybe he has a dying gasp, and he reaches out to someone or something like that.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah. So obtain information or create a trait that represents some knowledge you maintain. Interesting. Cool. All right. Well, we'll have to figure out how that works. I'm gonna have to ask the Mystics. Actually is a 2D20 thing out there. But what you say makes a lot of sense too, because my interpretation was like, oh, you're learning something as you're fighting them, so let's make use of that in the fight. But as you point out, it's specifically used after you've beaten them in a conflict,
which is kind of counterintuitive based on the flavor text in that talent.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's give you something for now. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to now I'm having a problem improving. So let's say, for example, that as you basically end him, he falls back, and you see like a blinking light underneath his shield belt, and it's like it seems to be like either some kind of like you would recognize it like, oh, is it like a tracker? Is it putting out pulses like so people can find him and that kind of thing? So I'm going to say your information you're obtaining is there may be like a follow-up party to track him should they believe he's in danger or something like that.
Okay.
Right. So now the problem that you're in is that you're in the wilderness. You're not quite sure where the heck that shuttle is at this point necessarily. And there's 2 slaves potentially trying to hunt you.
What do you mean? We have an expert tracker with us.
Awesome. All right. So what is your plan? So are we going to try to navigate back to that shuttle? What are your thoughts?
Don't we still have his his followers, Jindo's followers in the shuttle?
Yeah. The question is, unless I suppose actually, Castian, you do have enough to spend momentum to say you have a larger communication device in your pack. If you want to do that, I would allow that.
We actually have 6 momentum at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of momentum.
Hates.
Jindo got a bunch there at the end.
So would that be like spending a momentum for the communicator and then increasing its potency?
I'm saying more like it's just by creating this asset, you've created a medium-sized communication device as opposed to whatever. I'm not going to ask you to make more than that.
Yeah,
but
I think that makes sense as the only person who brought a pack.
Right. So yeah, so if you're willing
Reza
to spend
had to
momentum,
keep
we can at
looking
least... Right? Okay,
So I break it, kneel down, break out the, larger communicator, which probably looks like, like the size of an army one or something.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And, have them, I would assume, come out to get us, or what do you want done? They're your people, Jindo.
Now, keep in mind, you're not sure where you are exactly at this moment.
Right.
However, I just want to be the devil's advocate GM and put out there's a tracker that his people were able to find him with potentially. I'll leave you at that.
What do you think, Castian? What do you think we should do with the tracker for starters, I guess?
Well, have your team hone in on this signal, and we'll try and make our way back. And hopefully, if we run into the rest of the scouts, it'll be about the time your team catches up. And if we happen to see any, shall we say, Corey, we convince them to come with us.
I was going to say, do we want to try to tell them, it's like, we're not here to hurt you?
Yeah, there is that other scout still. Oh, no. He's dead.
No, he's dead.
He did not make it.
Before, but
he didn't just get lost.
All right. So what do you say into the communicator, Jindo?
Let's have you guys. I just basically raise David and have him hone in on the Can I give him like a frequency that the tracker is on? I guess from being on his person, maybe or.
He says, yeah, So we don't have the equipment to triangulate the signal. Did you say there was a tracker involved?
Yeah, he's wearing it under his shield belt.
I bet Santa Solaris that back at camp they do have a set of triangulation devices. Permission to take out the camp, sir.
Castian nods.
Yeah, go ahead and move. We'll try to circle back there and catch up with you guys.
We'll find you, sir. Stay put. and that the communications crackles and cuts out. And it's about then that from like the foliage around, you see two more figures, and they're kind of like, they have that look of like, I don't know what's about to happen on their face, but they both have like, one has a Mala pistol and the other has like a knife in each hand. They're kind of looking at you. They're crawling out of the foliage like, we just watch you, kind of like, again, I apologize for me as IGM. I kind of, I assume your characters are like insightful enough, and they can read general body language enough that I tend to give you a lot as like what the look in their eyes is. So bear with me if that's the case. And in this case, it's very much like, you just killed the dude who was hunting us. Are you our friend or not? Type of thing.
I think your Meza, or now Reza, kind of comes up and kind of starts peeling some of the makeup off her face with the scar and stuff like that, and kind of pull out like a House Gildrun pin and show them, it's like, we're friends, you're safe.
It's sad. I just want to say that it saddens me you didn't go full on Mission Impossible and do like the. Yeah.
I considered it.
All right. Okay. Let's have you roll your roll to convince them. So, yeah, these are freaked out people, so it's not going to be too hard. But again, they've been hunted. So this will be like a communicate. You're trying to, get them on your side. I'd be willing to use the charm focus. I think that counts for something here.
Yeah, I'll do truth. I decide what is true, and I believe truthfully that we are friends to these folk, and trying to get them to realize we're good people.
Okay.
Don't kill us.
I'm going to say this is a difficulty of, let's see, with them, I'm going to call it a difficulty of 3. Let's see here. However, you are gregarious. You look like someone that they are happy to trust. So I'm going to call this a 2. 2 difficulty. Okay. Let's see how the dice roll for you here.
Yeah, we'll stick with that.
Dice are not kind to you. Oh, yes, actually there. You got two successes. You got a 1. So, yes, you got exactly what you needed. So, awesome. Good job. Good job, Reza. So, check out the message. Okay. So, yes. They listen to your words, and they see the pin. The pin really helps. You can see them focus on it. They know what that is. And they're like, what are you doing here?
Well, apparently the Harkonnens have been after Gildrun for some stupid reason that we're trying to find out, and we're here for some payback.
You see
or at least one with figure out what's going on.
Yeah, the one with the 2 blades goes up to the still technically shielded form of their downed master hunter, and just brings both blades in and just like sinks them in. Just triple tap to be sure, and while the other one with the Mala pistol just drops it to his side, like, please take us with you. We've been in one of the baronial strongholds. We have information. We used to serve there. Please.
No problem. You're coming with us. I go through like the scouts pack and find them some food and water, and not the canteen, but something else to give them.
I'm all for it.
The canteen. You did tell her about the canteen, so she's like, "Oh, there's more water in here." Oh shit. Well, no.
So yes, let's free some slaves, but let's take their weapons. just in case.
They won't resist that at all. But they're in
fact the fighting types.
Yeah, they're too happy to give up weapons for food and water at this point, or even before, really, had they been given the option. They kind of look stringy, but they look like they could hurt somebody if they really wanted to. Were they ever trained to fight someone in a shield? no, absolutely freaking not. This is always a one-sided hunt, and everyone knew it. But yeah, it takes about like 30 minutes, and you hear some tromping. And I'm assuming you're going to take up like defensive positions out of sight before you identify the people. And in like a 2x2 cover positions come up Jindo's squad. And there's another couple coming from over there. Basically, they had to literally triangulate your signal. So there's like, two people coming from the other sides that are meeting up with y'all. And your group is there. Yeah. Sir, sorry we're a little slow. Hrothgar had a little trouble handling one of their scouts. He says he tripped. You see this sheepish-looking soldier at the rear guard, still kind of, blade drawn, shield up, just looking around, but like kind of looking at Jindo out of the corner of his eye to see if there's any reaction or whatnot.
I treat him kind of like I'm good-natured about it. Like I kind of kick the dirt and some of the mud around near Kuvar's corpse, and I'm like, yeah, he tripped in the mud too.
Yeah, the guy Hrothgar, the guy who tripped, he spares himself a slight chuckle, as does the rest of the team. And but they don't let down their guard. As far as they're concerned, this is still 100% dangerous. And you kind of see them, they kind of instinctively form up around your group, Jindo, including Castian, even though, again, Castian could probably, overmatch each of them. But still, that's what they're trained to do. This is their job. So yeah, you guys are surrounded, and they know the way back to the shuttle, to which they take you. It takes another, 20 minutes or so. It looks like you were more going around in one large circle than anything. As opposed to going, beeline towards another place. So yeah, you find yourself in the shuttle. Once you're in the shuttle, which is marked on the side with guild emblems, you are 1,000% safe. There is not a person in the known universe who would attack this shuttle, period. They would immediately be sanctioned and lose a bunch of space and guild rights and that kind of thing. Thing takes off, and you have left your time on Gidi Prime is now and in the past. As you float first up through the clouds, ionosphere, stratosphere, you're looking at space, and it's not too long before a Highliner shows up on one of its obvious routes. Again, this is Gidi Prime. This is highly trafficked. So yeah, I'll say like another hour and a half before the Highliner admits your presence and takes you in, to one of its travel bays. And then you're gone. Space has been folded. Good job. And plus you have 2 extra intelligence assets here that are only too happy to spill everything they know to Gildrun intelligence folk. So excellent.
Perfect. To be honest, I didn't go into this mission intending to goad him into a duel, but it worked.
Really? I thought that's what you were going directly for.
I mean, I was trying to provoke a reaction. I did not think he was going to immediately go to throw down the gauntlet, but I'm all too happy to oblige.
I personally thought that he was going to get poisoned at some point. But
it was consideration.
Options are really good. Or murdered by Reza. Like, come into my tent. Yeah. Come to my tent with my blade that I slip very easily between your ribs and murder you. Oopsie, he slipped. Everything. All right, so let's quickly give you some advancement points. I'm going to say this is a dangerous freaking mission. You were on freaking Gidi Prime. You could have been stranded. Things could have gone so south in so many ways, and it didn't. So I'm giving you each a point for adversity. This is a tough one. This was difficult decisions. How do we not only kill this guy but get out of here safely? Do our mission. So that was excellent. Let's see. None of you have been defeated during the conflict. Let's see. Reza, I don't think that your failure was at a difficulty of 3 or higher, was it? or was it?
I don't think it was.
Thought it
You
was
guys remember?
2 that you were going for.
Oh, but then and which was that again? I'm trying to maybe I have to look back through the thing.
I've got the two together where there's the one success with the difficulty, and then the one right after it that he bolstered me on.
Gotcha. And that I want to say that was a 3 before we brought it down.
Okay.
So that count. I'm going to say that counts. So I'm going to give you 1 extra for that. Game advance point whenever the game master spends 4 more points of threat at once. I couldn't scrape together enough threat. You guys are just too careful and precise and methodical. But it's coming. Oh, it's coming. And you should all get that one. So yeah, let's see here. And did you have you feel that you've advanced towards your ambition?
I don't think I did in this case. Because this isn't really Captain of the Guard type work.
Oh, Reza got
You
to
do
do
it-
more disguise and play another character, even if she's not being an actress for it, but she's being an actress for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So give yourself a point there. I won't give you more than a point, but it was definitely. And don't forget you're impressing the group point. That was a really good one.
Yeah, I already added
so-
that one earlier.
Get that. How about Jindo? Did you make any progress towards your ambition?
I mean, other than your typical kind of like completing the mission kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think so offhand, but this seems like sword arm work and not necessarily becoming of a general, but I don't know.
It's good that a general gets their hands dirty every now and then. But yeah, I see what you're saying. So let's say no on this one.
Maneuvering the troops and I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really follow narratively that this fit his ambition.
Gotcha. All right. And again, what I want you guys to think about is if you're not making any points with your ambition, it could be time to change your ambition. So keep that in mind as potentially a move to make in the future. All right, so there we're going with that. So that was a good session. Again, Danielle couldn't be with us because of family things going on, which again, just as I told her, that this is a game. Don't cut out family time over a game. As much as we like spending time with I like spending time with all of you. I don't want our sessions to impact your life badly. I'd like them to be a high point of your week or a good thing, as opposed to something you dread or do I have to choose between this or that? So kind of keep that in mind. I love having you around. We want full groups and everything, but just keep that in mind. Anyway, big kudos to our people for pulling this off and having so many options as to ways this could have gone and working with them. So really great. And we got it at one session. So when Danielle does come back, we don't have to figure out why the hell she's suddenly with a hunting party. So that's cool. Good for Scott. So yeah. All right. So we're about at time. So let's say goodbye to our players who are awesome. Let's go over to Steve. Bye, Steve.
Have a good night.
Thank you for being here as always. Awesome. And Ticker.
I'm Susan. You can find me at Tinkernome on Instagram. I don't really post anything. Have a great
You got to
week.
post more. More cats. I need more cat. You have like a cat and a dog or something, right? I mean, why are we not doing cats and dogs? I'm at a loss.
It's because I'm lazy.
But they're cats and dogs and they do cute things, and that's what anyone watches Instagram for, right? Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. You're awesome also tonight. So keep kicking butt. And last but certainly not least, we have Jonathan.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Swadley. You can find me on Twitter at Jonathan Swadley and on the DMs Guild and itch.io as well. I just did some editing and helped put together a supplement for the DMG called The Shadow Fae, A Guide to the Fae of Ravenloft from Ned Turner and the Wild Court Productions. It's really cool. Like they go into a lot of stuff about because the Feywild doesn't really go into Ravenloft, and so this is the Shadow Rift is kind of like going back through some of that stuff about the Arak and other Fae and whatnot. It's really cool. If that all flew over your head, just go check it out for the artwork because it's amazing. And the Fae in it are just incredible. Like it's unreal how good that supplement looks.
Cool. Awesome. I don't play 5e, but I think it's cool anyway. I'm going to check it out somewhere or another. So that being said, I'm Scott's Case Files. I was happy to be your GM this evening. Again, my players are awesome, and they prove it time and time again, and tonight was no exception. So I am thankful always for them. And if you are watching us on Twitch, think of dropping me a follow or subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, all that stuff is in the description. And think about subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell, be alerted when I put stuff on, which is weekly. Let's have some fun. Visit the sites, have some fun. We'll do some more gaming. And with that, I bid you a fond farewell all. Have a good night. Monday's coming, so you got this. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. Don't forget yourself. Go forth and do no harm, and we will see you next week in the wonderful world of Dune. But bye for now.